So Whitney and I wanted to do this together because we came across Mark and he has such an incredible story that we wanted to share with you. And we just kind of want to have fun today, a little adventure.
Yeah, and the best part is the Frequency House is located here in Topanga. And I'm sure if you're watching this, you've been curious about Malibu and Topanga. You know, it's an ascension point on the planet, meaning that the land here has the ability to activate every soul that's here on the planet to a higher level of consciousness or just a higher level of your personal growth path. So, Mark, it's such a pleasure to have us. So
Yeah.
thank you. And thank you for what you've created for your community here in Los Angeles and for people that want to come explore Los Angeles. And we're excited to learn from you today.
Awesome. I'd love to maybe interview you later about Topanga.
Yeah.
I need to dig into it deeper.
Land activation is one of the things that fascinate me most
Yeah.
because what's beautiful about it is you don't have to do anything except listen to where you're supposed to go in the world and show up. And the land will do what it's meant to do for you. And so what's beautiful is like you created a place where people are going to get the calling, they're going to come, they're going to get activated on the land, and then you can help take them further if they want to go there.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, because I got this place, I didn't know what Topanga was.
Yeah.
But they had no idea.
So what, did you hear the name first? Did
No.
you just like the location? What was it?
No. I mean, it's part of the overall, you know, fall from grace kind of story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's sort of long. But, you know, my career, you know, I started off as, I grew up in Chicago, and then we bounced around the country because my sister had some health issues. So, and it was also a recession going on at the time. And anyway, we ended up in Jacksonville, Florida on my 16th birthday. So I didn't know anybody, and I wasn't really nuts about Florida, but, you know, I fell into the rock and roll scene. There was a lot of music that came out of Jacksonville at that time. So I kind of fell into that. And then this is, you know, way before VCRs or any of that sort. I mean, actually, they were just coming out. And I was like, I didn't want to do the music thing because, like, it's just the people, it was just unreliable. And I was always, like, super disciplined kind of and super driven, and I found my colleagues were not. So I was like, this is not gonna, you can't show up 2 hours late, and you know. So anyway, I realized that this was not what I wanted to do. I was good, but I wasn't great. And then I saw the people that were great musicians, and I saw them make it, and I was like, what does that even mean? And then I saw them make it and then collapse. I was like, nah, that's not for me. So I wanted to do something creative. And one of the guys that was our roadie worked at a film company. So I said to him, I said, you know, if they're ever looking for anybody that's looking for a job over there, I might be, you know, interested. I had some audio back. Anyway, one day, you know, they were looking for somebody in the video department, and I went over there, and VCRs had just come out, and they were looking for a guy in the sales department. So I took it. The guy hired me, liked me. I had no experience. But part of the company, it was the largest camera store in the Southeast at the time.
Oh, wow.
It was called Brandon's Camera. It was wild, it was huge. It was kind of like a B&H back then in the 80s. And anyway, they had like the Sony contracts and stuff with colleges and TV stations and whatnot. And then they had the consumer stuff. But they had all these like $60,000, $50,000 cameras sitting in boxes waiting to be sold. And, you know, that was a lot of money back then, just for the camera. I was like, why don't we rent these things? Why don't I start shooting? Because nobody had anything. So they let me do this, and I kind of built out their production department on my own. It was just like, okay, I could do this, and then I have this equipment. And then I just started shooting like, you know, training videos for companies, because that was new. They were like, oh, you can do that? So anyway, built it there, and then I started, you know, a client, you know, had clients, and I just worked really hard and made a lot of contacts.
Yeah.
And I was like, I did this for them. Like, they didn't know what they were doing there. Can I do it for myself? So I did. So I took off at 22 years old, started my own production company that I still have.
Good for you.
And then throughout the years, yeah, I mean, I was I was very, very active in the Florida Southeast market for a very long time. So I did lots of stuff, yeah.
So you became very successful at it.
I mean, that's relative, but I did well. Yeah, I was known for sure. Yeah, and they were like, "Who's this guy?" Came out of nowhere. I was like 29 and went in awards, and they're like, "What? Who? What? Where?"
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you evolve your skills along the way? Were you shadowing people? Did you just play on your own? Was it just networking? Because how you started and then how you evolved your career is like pretty expansive.
Yeah.
So how did you always pick up new skills? Because I feel like that's something that we all need to learn right now because everything's evolving so quickly that the skill set we have now may not work for us
Right.
a year or 2 years from now.
Right.
How did you kind of stay ahead of how your industry was always evolving?
Well, I think it's not, looking back, I have maybe, I got to even look, maybe a high school C minus, could be a D. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't stand school. Like I just couldn't, like, I don't know. I was too curious. I was too active. I always had my own business.
That's amazing.
I had a paper route as a kid. I had lawn service. I
Yeah.
did, whatever. I bought my own car at 15. So I've always been that thing, I'm always inventing, always building, always a project. So to answer the question, I think that you learn by curiosity, right? So I figured out the technology, which was difficult. And back then, if you could keep the camera working, they hired you. It wasn't about how good you could shoot.
Got it.
At that, some of it, right? And then once you got that part down, but I started getting on. There's a limit to what you can do alone, right? We need others. So the real story is my career got launched because I saw I was wanting to shoot film, which everybody was kind of shooting like 3/4 inch videotape. It looked terrible, but the big stuff was film, right? Actual 35 millimeter film.
Yeah.
So I figured that out on my own. I just showed up and said, "Yeah, I can do this." And
That's
film was
incredible.
$2 a foot, so it's like, we would spend 20 grand a day on film.
That's
So you
amazing.
better not mess it up.
Jeez.
So that commanded a higher rate, but
Yeah.
I kind of faked it till I made it. But along the way, there was no equipment in Jacksonville, so I was renting stuff from Atlanta. I was like, this doesn't work. So me and a buddy, I said, well, why don't we start our own rental house with cameras and lights? And I did. So in 1987, somehow I bought some kind of like 14-foot box truck, built it out in my driveway, and filled it. I got a loan and filled it full of equipment that no one had, generators, and then also a film camera. So by doing that, it opened up a whole new level of production. And one of the people that would come into town and rent my equipment was America's Most Wanted.
Oh, wow.
It's because they shot their
Wow.
little mini movies
Yeah.
on film,
Yeah.
and they
I
wanted
used
it.
to watch that.
Really?
Did you?
No.
Oh yeah.
Am I giving away my age?
I mean, I
Yeah.
remember it being on.
Oh, okay.
That's not what
I
I
don't know
chose
how-
to
yeah.
watch, yes. But I know what you're talking about, trust me.
Yeah. Well, I did 170 or 60 episodes.
Oh
Wow.
my goodness.
So
Okay.
anyway, they came in, and they're shooting mini movies. They're
Yeah.
shooting these recreations, right? I didn't do the live stuff, but they did that on film. That's why it looked like a mini movie. And they would have, so they kept coming to Jacksonville because of the crime,
That's
right?
wild.
So
Wow.
they kept renting my stuff, and finally, one of the producers was like, "Well, why don't you give Mark a shot?" And they did, and I learned a lot. But anyway, they liked me, and then I learned a lot because they were very smart. They would mine directors from film festivals that was just
Oh,
coming out,
yeah.
like the early '90s.
Yeah.
So Slam Dance, Sundance.
Yeah, very cool.
They would, who won that, and then of course, those directors are looking for jobs.
Yeah.
And there's a mini movie on a TV, station, so I started working with like Christopher Coppola. Did some, just a lot of different directors that were up and coming, and then I became one of their number one, cinematographer, and then they let me direct some, but I made connections with these up and coming directors here, and that's how I started coming here, because those guys are now running networks.
That's what helped bring you out.
Well, I
California.
thought it was, there's more to it, but when I did come out here and start working, I was like, oh my God, California just felt like home, like
Yes.
Yeah, it's the best
home,
feeling.
and I was like,
Yes.
I gotta be here, and I was like, what is that? And
the little beep beep in the land.
it was that, but I make the analogy, I had peaked out. Okay, I probably peaked out by 29 or 30 in my environment. So I make the analogy of a goldfish in a bowl. We grow to our environment, and I
Yes.
realized, I was maxed out. And this is where I think the drinking started coming in, right? But when I came here, everybody was smart, and they were conscious, and the yoga and the healing and the film, it was fascinating. Like normal people, just people walking around. That guy won 3 Emmys. That guy's this, and that guy wrote a book, and that guy's Pulitzer Prize.
And their frequency, they're
Well,
beeping,
for sure.
and it's rubbing
Right.
off on you, and it can
Right.
help you.
Well, that's exactly it. So I
Evolve up.
realized I want this to be my friends, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, Buddha says, we should hang around 3 groups of people in 3 equal amounts. People know less, 1/3, so you can teach. People know the same, so you can converse. People that know 1/3 more, so you can learn.
Yeah.
So I would look at my, friends. I was like, wait, I'm not balanced out here,
Yeah.
right? So, but Los Angeles is a filtering system, like the best in the world at every craft: food, fashion, obviously acting, writing, shooting, whatever. They come here and don't make it.
Yeah.
You can't be good here. You can't be great. You have to be exceptional.
Yeah.
And keep it exceptional for a long time, or you'll be totally go out. Nobody's gonna hire you. So it pushes you to do what you think you can't do, and I need that.
How did you, I love hearing your story because I think it's motivational for everyone. It's even motivational for me, the fake it till you make it. But you have to have a confidence level in there.
Well,
How
yeah.
did you nurture that confidence level, or were you using something in your life at the time that was allowing you to have a fake confidence that got you to where you are? And then,
It's called alcohol.
yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is
Yeah,
that's
part of it
what
was
allowed?
alcohol. Well, part of it is I didn't know what not to do.
Yeah.
Nobody told me I couldn't. So that's why I think it's good to teach or learn things somewhat on your own, because then people aren't going, no, that's not the way you do it. Because the more of that you get, the more.
Yeah, the more limiting beliefs.
Well,
the
yeah,
more you stay in the box.
as we get more specialized in something, we're actually becoming more unaware of everything else. So it's very dangerous to become, in my opinion, a specialist.
But how did how did that relationship with alcohol start? I know LA, I'm from Los Angeles originally, and you are just exposed to alcohol and people who party and a lot of drug taking, and people still function and they're able to get stuff done. It's a whole way of life here.
Sure.
How did it kind of infiltrate into your soul where it became a problem?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. It's because it's very sneaky. It's very cunning, baffling, and powerful, as they say.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it was in Florida. It was way worse than that. Here, it was way more health conscious. Always has been. Always has been. Vegan, they were doing that in the 60s. They didn't even, you know what I mean? So Florida was in Chicago. I grew up in a German family. Beer. It was like Coca-Cola wasn't allowed, but beer.
Yeah.
And the Mad Men, those things, people had bars at work.
Yeah.
They would drink on the way home. They drank all the time.
No, it's just a lifestyle then.
Totally. So,
Yeah.
but it works, right? So here I am already destinated or predisposed for this thing. There's alcoholism and addiction in my family, but no wonder. You know what I mean? So I don't want to get off topic, but when you look at it, I looked at it. It all goes back to generational trauma, which 100% of it comes from war.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
Like
every
my
time.
the
Yes.
men. Oh, don't talk to Uncle Bill. He's shell shocked.
So true.
And he was just sitting there talking, drinking, telling jokes, but nobody shared
Yes.
anything.
Yeah.
You know what? That's so crazy because I feel like this is actually the first time I've ever had a conversation with anybody about that because I was
Yeah.
raised that way.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
certain people in the family
Yeah, yeah.
are we still recovering from
And that was
Vietnam?
That was
really
real
good
war.
point.
Not
Yeah.
to pay, but my family
Yeah.
was World War I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
World War II.
Yes.
I mean, you talk about that's hand to hand, like
Yeah.
gas. I mean, it's horrific. And, millions, like a third of the 60 million people died in World War II. So, that isn't that long ago.
No, it's not.
And they were 17 years old.
Well, I
right?
remember when I was a kid, growing up in Laguna, my mom had me go around and meet different people in town that she went to high school with that were drafted into Vietnam and never recovered.
Sure.
Because she just
How could
wanted
you?
to make me, they wanted
Right.
to help me just understand the long-term effects of the world.
It's 7 generations.
Yeah.
If you don't stop it.
Yeah.
Right? Well, so here I am. So here they are. And I bet if I tracked it back even further, it went back to Civil War. I don't know.
Yes.
Because, okay, you have 2 parents,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You have 4 grandparents.
Yes.
You have 16 great-grandparents.
Yes.
You have 32 great-great-grandparents. You have 60. So it took, 2,000 people in 7 generations to make you.
No, I understand. And
So
my
all
family
of
has
that
fought in all the
DNA,
wars.
but all of that DNA is focused in this one point on you.
Yes.
We don't realize that. It's not just 1 or 2.
And almost basically, if you are a human on the planet right now, war is running through your body, whether you're executing
100%.
or behaving in that way or choosing to be a part of your military or not, it's still in you. And so I think sometimes I watch and I see the anger in people, and it's not theirs. It's other people's stuff that they're carrying.
Well, we get into that. That goes everywhere.
Yeah.
Every thought is not yours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you really want to go down the rabbit hole, you know what I mean? So,
We do want to go down the rabbit
yeah.
hole.
well, I mean, okay, let's talk
Well,
about
and that's
that.
the tough thing is, and I ask that myself that often when it's more of a negative thought pattern is it mine? Did I absorb it from somebody else?
Yes.
Am I transmuting it for somebody else? Is it stuff that I picked up because of these activities and places I went to today that I didn't shield myself? Because I think at some point it is yours, but then oftentimes it is other people's stuff that we've picked up.
Well, this goes back to Hermeticism and, ancient Buddha. I mean, I study more of the ancient sciences, which are high technologies that we're sort of catching up to. They've been ignoring them.
Agreed.
But
Yeah.
Hermeticism, everything is mental.
Yeah.
Like it is.
I
Right?
have a great book on Hermeticism by Dr. Joseph Michael Lovery.
Yeah, well, read Hermes books.
Yeah.
Don't read some, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
read,
yeah.
go to the source. There's many. But yeah, I mean, it's in Tibetan Buddhism, it's in Taoism, but in Kundalini, we talk about the human body and brain being a radio receiver. So there's lots of stuff going on, right? There's lots. So we'll talk about, I guess, the nervous system for a second. Okay, so we're mostly electrical beings. We don't talk about that much, right? We talk about biology, like my liver, but every cell in your body is electromagnetic, right? Right? So when you die, if you examine me right now before death and analyze every component in me, and then right after I die, you will find the same ingredients.
Yes.
So where's the life? Right? Where's the consciousness? Right? So this is kind of the big question, right? So being electrical beings, you have 63,000 miles of wire in your body known as the nervous system, right? And they end in your feet and your hands, right? Planet Earth is a big ball of spinning iron and nickel at 25,000 miles an hour. That's a massive, massive generator. Massive, right? So, for example, if I took a little 8 horsepower gas motor, tiny little generator, and put it right there, and put an electrical cord on it, it would pull enough energy out of the air to kill us. Where's that energy coming from? We're standing in it. We are this is consciousness, the space between us, right, is the energy field, right? So in the energy field, all kinds of things go on. We can get power from it, but our thoughts can come from it as well. So the nervous system is also the subconscious mind. Like modern science is saying it, but the yogis have said that for a while. So there's millions of sensations hitting our brain right now in this moment of the clothes hitting your, whatever, that's that thing. And there's constantly, every thought, everything is recorded in the subconscious.
Yes.
So the conscious mind is constantly filtering it to be efficient, what's necessary, and then takes that, right? Because that's called perception, right? So we log that, I need to pay attention to that. And that comes from mostly survival, right? So anyway, the stuff gets in the nervous system or in the subconscious mind. So I don't think kids get that much of like this talking to themselves much because they're in full-blown awareness,
Yeah.
right? We're programming them. They don't even have an ego yet,
Yeah.
right? The ego's grown, it's created, right? So, so when we have these thoughts, they can jump in from an event that happened in the nervous system. It just jumps in, like, warning, or it starts making up shit, or it pulls up what mom said, you suck, doubt, right? And the more you get that, but we're unaware of it, right? It's completely unaware. Because I say to people, how do you talk to yourself? And they're like, oh, I never thought of that. I go, you have to have minimum 2. Who's on the phone? Who's on the other? You have one phone, one walkie-talkie, doesn't work,
Who's on
right?
the other line?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And then you open up who's talking and who's listening, right? So the whole concept of becoming aware, or awareness, is what we're actually doing here, is to be the observer, right? Be the observer of your thoughts. Be the observer of everything. Put yourself in the third party point of view, right? So if you can be the observer of the thoughts that are going on right now, you can understand that usually you're the listener, unless you're generating it, like I got to go do something, right? And you can examine it and decide if that thought needs to stay or if that thought needs to go. I know I do this all day, every day,
Yeah.
like all the time. And
I do
after you
that
do
too.
that,
It's hard,
well,
though.
you're like, does this serve me? And then, but I didn't know any of this. So we start not only believing these thoughts, and they're usually negative,
Yeah.
right? Because it's a device, or it's a design for the human existence to survive. It comes from nature, right? The worst case scenario, if you prepare for the worst case scenario, you might not die, right? But that doesn't.
But you might not live.
But that's not it helping us in. It can help us in modern society, but it can completely limit us.
Yes.
So our fears are all this. 97% of your fears and anxieties, 80 to 97%, will not happen. That's a scientific fact. They are made up by the mind. We create our misery, but they run us and they kill us. And they're like I tell people, you probably can't remember what you were worried about a week ago, but it was running you, right? It's all these thoughts are windows open on the desktop of your mind. I make this analogy, right? They're all clogging the hard drive, and then you're like, you can't be creative. And since I'm a camera guy, it's like you go into this zoom lens and you're just spinning out, chasing shadows. It's an illusion. So you're living in an illusion that is misery.
I'd like to know how you bounce around your day and a negative thought comes in. Do you just tell yourself that doesn't belong to me?
Yeah.
Like watch it float out of your mind? Like what are the practices that you do in the moment so you can shift and not allow them to overtake you?
Yeah.
In the day?
I mean, I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
But every now and then, I'll get, and I go, whoa. Pause, reflect.
Yeah.
But you gotta pause because, it kicks in adrenaline, it kicks in the response.
Yeah.
So,
Emotions.
well, right. So, and it's an illusion,
Yeah.
right? So that's where it starts harming our health.
I think reminding ourselves it's an illusion.
It's all an illusion.
Yeah.
Like this is, I'm sort of getting off topic, but as usual. But like reality as we know it, right?
Yeah.
Or we know it, is just simply a collective agreement on this hallucination.
Or like it's a hologram
Well, we just
of the collective consciousness.
well we all agree that it's like a $10 bill. We agree that everybody agrees that this is what you take it to Guatemala. We see something, right? It doesn't mean anything because it's like that's exactly
Yeah,
how money
it's like money
is.
exchange. Yes, it's fascinating.
It's all an illusion.
Yeah.
What's it backed up with? Who cares?
And all
Gold?
the
I don't like
women.
gold. Why is it gold? Food is more valuable.
Yeah.
They're giving 30-year mortgages to 80-year-old people.
Yeah.
It's not real. Right?
It is so true. And someone was
but we
telling me
don't
the other
even-
day it's going to move to even more. They're going to be 50-year mortgages. Like the ridiculousness
Doesn't
is
matter.
just going to continue to expand.
Well,
I
but-
have a
it doesn't
30-year
matter.
mortgage.
But no, I mean, but we get all wound up in it, right?
Yeah.
But we don't own anything.
Yes.
That's a total. I mean, these trees have been here for 300 years.
Yeah.
What? We're fleas on its back.
Yes.
For us to go around, that's so egotistical. This is my land. Are you kidding? Like the second I'm gone, somebody else will be in there painting it up, and like nothing ever happened.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's that horrible saying that like my first house was somebody's last.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so you have this amazing mindset now, but when you were going through some hard times,
Yeah.
where was your head? Where was your mind?
Great question. Totally out of control.
So
But I didn't know any of these things. Nobody, this is now, I started having trouble at least 20 years ago
Okay.
with alcohol. But alcohol worked really well for me. I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
So, and I'm living alone. I'm spiritual, sort of. My mom was really spiritual, but nobody around me was. It was beer, beach, and football.
Okay.
And that was like, I don't know, but I didn't have any friends because I couldn't really do that like we're doing now. So anyway, I drank to, I guess, lower my vibration to go into the beach, football, which I didn't. But also, it calmed me down. Like when the rats were eating the wires, and I had a glass of wine, I could be creative. It was sort of meditative. It just slowed down the thought process enough that I could be brave.
It allows you to numb.
But there's
And most people don't realize that's the quieting is the numbing.
Yeah.
And you can choose alcohol, you can choose wine, you can choose drugs, you can choose sugar, you can choose processed food, you can choose fast food. But it all numbs and disconnects you from your consciousness, from your third eye, from your higher self, from the guides, whatever you want to call it. You can't hear it all as well.
Yeah, it does that. Well, for sure, alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why it's called spirits, right? But it would, in small amounts, it helped me, and back then, I'm in the most stressful business there is. I'm in the movie business. I'm freelance.
Yeah.
I got boats. I got houses. I had all these properties by myself. Just shit the phone. And, I'm shooting 150 days a year to pay for a 5-bedroom house on the ocean that I'm never in.
Yeah.
So I started looking I could see that, right?
Were you married at the time?
No, I got
Okay.
married young, had 2 kids, and then at 22, and then at 30, I was divorced, and I hit the road, and man, did I, and for a long time. But I realized I was kind of running. But breaking it all down to the core after many Aya ceremonies, so I started, I was known as a big drinker, but I could hold my alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm German. Seriously, God gave me this body I can fucking push through. That's why I'm a soldier.
Yeah.
Like on set, they're like, that's why I got work. They're like, give it to Mark. He'll make it happen no matter what, kind of thing, right? Well, I could drink and German fit blood, and then, the deal. I mean, you start blacking out, and you start forgetting what you said, and you just start. You're not sharp, And I think I made it longer than most, but I knew everything was going to catch up. I knew I couldn't work at that level, and I couldn't connect with people because everybody was drinking. Like we had happy hour, right? Our sets, we would have the food table. Second we said wrap, it would turn into a bar.
Yeah.
Like it was literally everywhere. And you met for brunch on Sunday. I mean, and then there was football
It
on.
was such a different life.
Yeah.
Like I
mean,
feel like
that's not that long ago.
I know.
They're still doing it.
I know, which is so wild
I
because
know.
that seems like literally eons ago. Like I don't even know that person that participated in that life, but I know I did once because we all did.
I mean,
I
we're
still
gonna.
drink wine. Hold on, you guys.
Well, it's not. It's a different. It's a different thing. I mean, I think we're honestly going to look back. I think we're going to look back at alcohol like we look at cigarettes. I mean, already.
Yeah.
It is. Like, what the fuck were we thinking?
Yeah.
Like, you're putting, my parents used to smoke, and I was 4 or 5. And that's got to be bad, because I would see smoke come out of the car pipe. Like, how,
Yeah, you smell the residual smoke anywhere you go.
But that
whether-
was, people smoked everywhere.
Yeah.
They smoked on planes.
Yeah,
Now we
I
went.
remember.
Right. Now, I think alcohol is, already happening. That's why those companies are into marijuana and mushrooms now. But anyway, so it was as they say in the program, was fun with problems, and then it just became nightmares, problems.
So when you hit rock bottom,
I hit about 20 of them.
okay, that one moment where you were like, I'm done, I'm changing my life. What happened?
Well, so I went through, like, when I around 2000, I got my first DUI, and I knew I had a problem. I wasn't somebody going, oh, I got this. I was like, that was a wake-up call. I was in jail. You know what I mean? I think it was 2000. And I was like, shit. So I started going to meetings, and AA meetings. I started doing the thing. And I don't know, I just couldn't connect with it. I didn't understand it. So I went through, I used to say it was 10 years, but I think it was more like 14 years of therapy, rehab, everything. Because I would be okay, I got this, and then it wouldn't be okay.
Yeah.
And since I was my own boss, if you will, I got away with a lot more kind of than I probably should have, but it was haunting me. And what was haunting me was I was lying, because I would like not remember what I said, or I'd say something drunk I didn't mean. So I'm constantly cleaning up this mess of stuff I said or did or texted. You know, wake up with the phone next to you, like, oh shit, you know.
Yeah.
And
Because the person on the other side doesn't know.
no, sometime
that's-
after a while, yeah.
Yeah, that something else is
Sure.
leading you to say those things or do those
Right.
things.
The
think
filter's off.
They think it's authentically you.
It can be. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Because they say two groups of people tell the truth.
Yeah,
Little kids and drunks.
yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, I did everything. This is probably whatever, 2008 to 2014, or I don't know. Anyway, you know, like a good 10 years, I did everything. I went to meetings, I went to therapy, I was in and out of rehabs. I was in at least five rehabs. I took all the shots, Vivitrol, I took all the medication, I went to all the therapy. I mean, I did, and nothing. I would stop drinking for a month, but it's not that. It's like I tell people now, I didn't have a drinking problem, I had a thinking problem,
Okay.
Absolutely.
right? So here's how it like works.
Well, sometimes they say it's actually a sugar addiction.
Nah, I mean, that's part of it. You get physically addicted.
Yes.
Yeah, so it starts in the mind, starts in
Yes.
thought,
Yeah.
and then it gets obviously, and then once you get, once the body becomes addicted, you're full on alcoholic.
Yeah.
Because now the body has to have it. It's not like I wanted to get drunk. The detox from it, I mean, is the darkest nightmare you can imagine.
Yeah, because
It kills you.
It's negative entities coming out of you.
It's
because you've
it's
absorbed
horrific.
and picked up so many things that aren't you and aren't of light. So, and that's one thing that I think is fascinating. It's more than the mental and physical addiction to the alcohol. It's these entities and spirits that some of us can see, some of us can't, that are now in you.
Well, I used to say, I would say to psychiatrists and stuff, I would go, I don't know what's happening, but this isn't me.
Yes.
And they were like, and then,
'Cause there's
you know,
stuff
because
in
it would
there.
get me so irritated because I'd sit across, not that therapists or whatever, but I didn't know. And they're like, okay, addiction. Okay, here we go. Oh, yeah. And I would just pay them and I would go, and they go, how does that make you feel? And how's this? It's like,
They're
and then finally I
experimenting
went,
on you, yeah.
well, they don't
Let me
know.
prescribe you something.
Well, but they, you know, I was like, have you ever struggled with addiction? Like, no. Then
Yeah.
shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, what? Why am I even? I'm paying you.
Yeah.
You know, you don't understand this demon. You don't know what it's like to be hijacked. You
Because
know.
you are
Totally.
hijacked.
Totally.
And I
Demon is the right word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we have to start, because that's a big part of consciousness and evolving, is understanding that we're living in a world where we can't see it all. So there are things that are happening and going in and out of all of us that do cause us to not fully be able to be ourselves.
Well, just so you know, everyone's hijacked,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
and they don't know it, and it's not necessarily nefarious usually, but I mean, it sounds crazy, but I've been doing a lot of stuff. It's not necessarily entities, but we're hijacked by our thoughts. We don't understand, and we let them run us, and they're not. It's a complete illusion, complete.
Absolutely.
So, to kind of wrap up the story there a little bit, like people ask me, like, what was it this last time that made it work?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And for years I didn't know. I was like, I've been trying to get to LA my whole life, and coincidentally, I always had an apartment here, and I ended up on a 3-month drinking binge, and I almost died. That was the moment. I had done I had been not working much, and I had this tiny little apartment on Venice Beach and a house in Florida, and I would, I was so lonely, and I had no friends, and because I had started isolating, I couldn't, and because I would shake, and my anxiety, I don't know if you've ever had an anxiety attack, like you don't think you're dying, you're dying. It is, and you want to crawl out of your skin, and then you take one sip of vodka, gone, like gone. So why wouldn't you do that?
Yes.
See, this is what
You
people
would
don't
think it's your
understand.
medicine.
They're like, why does that guy keep drinking? Why can't he stop? You don't understand. He will go insane if you stop. A crack addict, insane. That's why they break into houses and steal shit. They're not trying to get high. They're trying to stop going insane. And that's
so
when they do that's where they
fascinating,
do the crimes and stuff, because they're
Yeah.
literally, this brain is just the synapses are looking for that thing, and it's totally, they're gone.
So what was the solution for you?
So so I had gotten, I stopped drinking, but I was miserable.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be shaky, and I was lonely, and I was like, so anyway, I went and got a gig where somebody got me drinking again, and I showed up on the job drunk, which I'd never really done. Like I couldn't. Do you ever see the movie Flight? Yeah, with the Denzel Washington, and that I was in a hotel and I had a minibar, and I drank the whole minibar. Anyway, it couldn't work, so they fired me. And my 30-year career, which was my whole reputation, it was my identity, it was my integrity. Like, I had this super solid reputation that took me forever to build, was literally gone in 10 minutes. I mean, the second I showed up drunk, they fired me, and my phone, and I had, to this day, it was in San Antonio, Texas. To this day, I don't remember how I got back to Florida, and I don't remember how I got back to Venice.
Yeah.
I know I was making a connection, because they were like, get out of here.
Wow.
They cut me off in the hotel. I had to figure out how to get to the airport. I mean, I could barely walk. They wouldn't let me on a plane.
Yeah.
I had to get on I don't know. And then I had a connection, and I totally missed the connection. I got disoriented in the connecting airport. Found a hotel there at the thing, drank for another whatever, showed up 3 days late in Florida. People are like, where you been? Your luggage is here. I mean, this whole thing. And somehow I got back to Venice, and I just shut the blinds and drank.
Yeah.
And I would get up at 6 in the morning and shaking so bad I would walk down to Davies Liquor Locker, it's still there. 7 a.m., I'd be the first guy in to get a little pint of vodka out of a paper bag. And I was like, how the fuck did I get here, man? Just like everybody else on the street.
When I met you, Mark, the one thing that drew me to you was, first, there was this big sign that said frequency. And I was like, okay, what is he about, And when you're talking about how, like, you're itching out of your skin because you need a fix,
Yeah.
I find it interesting bringing that concept of frequency in. When you're entering a different state of consciousness, your frequency level goes up. So you were trying to go up. Meanwhile, this archonic, demonic energy wants you back to the low frequency. So low frequency beings, entities, as we know, right, don't like high frequency.
Oh, no.
So maybe it's a form of this low entity that's in your body, feeling the shift to the high frequency, and then it wants to bring you back to the low frequency.
Yeah, it's the internal battle. So you're
Maybe
feeling so uncomfortable in your skin because something's in there that's not supposed to be there and not allowing you to function at the level that you're supposed to be functioning on the planet. And I also find myself and anybody I know, like, on the life journey to be the greatest and highest version of themselves, they all have a time when they are so horribly attacked by negative entities to stop them from evolving to what their project and purpose is on the planet.
I know.
They all get horribly...
They hit me every day.
Horribly attacked. Like, I went through a year where, like, I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't leave my room. And it just, it happened out of the blue.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I always knew there was something on me that wasn't mine.
Yeah.
And I felt crazy going to therapists, being like, no, like, I don't need to someone to talk through something with me. Like, there's something that's attached itself to me. I need you to get it off me.
They don't know.
And then
I think
finally-
we need an exorcist.
No, it is. No, it's true.
No, finally
No,
I
it's
found
true.
multiple people and shamans to work with, and then literally it's
Yeah,
like someone
yeah.
flipped a switch and I was me again,
Yeah,
and I was free.
Yeah.
And it is the wildest thing, but
But is
unless
it?
we start,
Why is it wild?
it's not. It really isn't. Thank
I mean,
you.
It isn't at all.
We just need to start talking about it, and it's like I just wish I would have known, like in high school,
Well, you know now.
that these things happen. So, and I knew the people to go to, so I could have gotten so much time back.
Well, look at it this way. You could have never found out.
I know.
Everybody almost before us didn't know,
Yeah, I know.
right? So that's the way I look at things. Like, we could have never found out. I
Yeah.
could have
Unless
never
you
gotten sober.
experienced it yourself.
So, I mean, why is it not, like I see it because I'm more aware.
Yeah.
I see it. I can physically actually see them.
Can
Sometimes
you see
energy.
it on other people now?
I have, not often.
Yeah.
I don't, let me back up. I don't necessarily see them. I can feel them.
Yeah.
Because it's a disturbance in the energy field.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
So, but why wouldn't that happen? In your body, science, there's 10,000 wars going on. Your stomach, your bloodstream. You ever seen a white blood cell at work?
No.
It sees a paramecium or whatever. It just rips it. They kill like
Yeah.
it's a war.
Wow.
You ever
Yeah.
see
Little
them go
soldiers,
after? Yeah. You ever seen your immune system work or your gut biome?
Yeah.
There's nuclear wars.
Yeah.
They actually call them that because they shoot these missiles at each other. They're colonies that fight just like humans, right? So there's disharmony in your gut, right? There's just
Hopefully
but
only harmony.
well, what I
only
mean by
harmony.
that is not necessarily,
I know,
but
I
when
know.
when the wars are in balance, they're
Yeah.
there for you to survive. Because if these wars were not going on, you would be dead.
Yeah.
Right? They're fighting, but when you pull back, there's total harmony. The Earth is the same. There's all this fighting. We're just little colonies, but bacteria. You look back at planet Earth, it's
Yes.
beautiful, right?
Yes.
So the point is, inside that, there's parasites.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
There's parasitic things in nature. They come in. What does a parasite do? It adheres to a tree, a bug, a human, a cell in the body. And what does it do? It completely infiltrates it and takes it over as its own. That's parasitic, right? You ever seen cordyceps mushrooms? They go into an insect. They completely eat the insect out and they take over its body.
No.
Is it doing that to us when we
way.
take
No.
it? Okay.
No, but what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
that is, we do it to other things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that happens to thought. So these are all my analogies based on my experience, what I've seen, and
Yeah.
of course the spiritual training and, but I kind of blend everything together and I put it in these different metaphors. But yeah, parasitic thoughts are like rampant. That's the biggest disease right now.
It
is
is.
forget physical disease because mental mind will completely heal that. The mind is creating these diseases in the body. The body is inside the mind, not the brain, the mind, right? So the mind is way up here, way up here. It is consciousness, right? So this drives all your electrical system. This drives all your physiological systems, right? So
And your reality.
you're
Ultimately.
right. We have, there's 9 million people in Los Angeles. They all have a different perception of Los
I
Angeles.
know, isn't that? I think about that all the time. We're all seeing a different version
Every
of LA.
day of every moment.
Yeah.
So, right? Because again, back
fascinating.
to the filtering thing. You see what you want to see.
Yeah.
You see things that validate your already preconceived notions of what they are. That guy's this way. Your mind does not look for things that are not that way.
Yeah.
It looks for that to validate your ego, to make sure you're what? Right.
Yeah.
Because we have to be right. The
So
ego
true.
does.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and this is back to how I stopped drinking was, and I didn't know any of this, is we all have a story, our baseline story of who we think we are. That's called, that's in your ego and your subconscious. And it's, in my opinion, it's running like your story, and most people don't even know what it is. I did not. Comes from usually childhood, right? So we come into this world clean slate. I mean, yeah, we probably got some ancestral stuff, some DNA vibrating from some war or whatever, right? We don't know. Come in and we're like, right? And then people like, oh, you're cute, you're dumb, shut up, papa, right? And then they start telling us who we are. So we start to take all this stuff and build this thing we call a personality, and then we build this thing called a story of who we are from other people.
Yeah, the program.
Well, first of all, they don't know who they are. They're telling us who we are. Bad data, right? And usually our parents, want us to be a lawyer or whatever, something to make money, so they look good, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't get a chance. So
Yeah.
they want you to become what they didn't, right? So anyway, the point is, we're going through life going, right? And we're confused, but then the ego looks for ways to validate that story all the time, right? It's a scanning system. The eyes and everything, the brain, it's scanning. And if it's looking for ways to validate your core belief system, your core identity, that's where it goes, right? So when I was in this 10-year thing, I realized my story was wrong, right? My story was middle-aged, washed-up, alcoholic director. That's what everybody told me. It was in there.
Yeah.
And so no matter what I did, I realized this like 5 years after I did ceremony, no matter what I did, no matter how many meetings, none of that works until I changed my story. So when I was in that, mode, I would get up in the morning, okay, you're a strong guy, no drinking today, no drinking. So I'm walking around all day, don't drink, don't drink, don't drink. Well, we know we give power to thought.
Yeah.
So you put it in the front, ding, but then, it's usually, I'd be lonely, somebody asked me out or whatever, I'd go out with some friends or a date, and, what's wrong with you? You can't drink? They're drinking, and they're like, is something wrong with you? You're not drinking? Like, how silly. So anyway,
Understand.
I eventually would, to get through it and to be liked, or whatever, I'd pick up a drink. And then the ego goes, aha, see, we're right. You are alcoholic. That girl left you. You are unlovable. Validation. Power. This is how we spiral out in like 30 days and kill ourselves. And what's the lowest vibrating thing? Shame. I was loaded with shame. Well, that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens. You say things, you do things, and then people are like, how come you just can't, my kids, why can't you stop drinking?
Yeah.
They don't understand. So shame, they're like, and then you're just like, I'm this big director running hundreds of guys through a thing, and then I can't even fucking get off the couch.
So how'd you rewrite your story in your
Well,
head?
I didn't know I was doing it, but when, June, right now, I was inside this month drinking binge, and I ended up almost dying. I was laying in bed, and it just, life force started leaving me.
Yeah.
I couldn't move. I felt it, started hallucinating, and I was like, okay with it. I was like, listen, I've done this so many times, it doesn't work. I'm out of money, I'm out of energy, I'm 50. It's like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
You won. Just let me go. You won. Whatever is going on, won.
Yeah.
And, but there was this, I don't know, a little voice that just said, just one more time, or pick up the phone or something. So I dug around looking for my phone. I don't even know, I have no idea. I called a friend, barely could figure out the phone. I don't even know if it was charged. I said, I can't do this, but can you find a rehab and take me? And she did. But I got there, I was in such bad shape, I had to go to the hospital for, detox, because you die from it. And then, I was shaky for a year, for probably 3 years. I couldn't write my name for at least 3 years. I still have trouble. My nervous system's still damaged. My heart is still flutters. I have AFib. Yeah. But I started, I went to rehab, and it was here in Malibu. So I never left LA.
Interesting.
Isn't it funny how the universe works?
Yeah.
The universe is like, dude, we have plans for you. Stop it. Okay, you're not going to do it. Boom.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw you off a cliff. And they did. And then it's been nothing but humility, work, reading. I changed everything, every single thing. Friends. I got into AA again. I had a sponsor. He was in the film business. He's a complete asshole to me, but that's what I needed. He goes, I don't care if you live or die. I got 10 guys behind you. Do the work. You're going to die. You were just there. You were on death's doorstep. So I did it. I showed up. I went to 2 meetings a day, and then he turned me on to Kundalini yoga. which was right
Good
down the
man.
street, and it was one of the best in the world, I think,
Yeah.
at the time.
Where'd
and
you go?
Rama.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love Rama. I went to Rama too, and
Yeah.
some of my great teachers and friends have come through Rama.
Yeah, I mean, that was back when they
incredible.
opened.
Yeah.
When they
You
just
scored.
opened. I didn't know. And
Yeah.
it was a half a mile from
what
my house.
a gift!
This is the thing, my word.
Scored.
Right, I became a teacher there.
No
Well, I mean, I
way.
took the teacher. I went
Yeah.
to Tibet with them.
Oh,
Yeah, Guru
gosh.
Jagat's husband
Yeah.
lived here.
No
Yeah.
way.
Oh, Tage has done stuff here.
No.
She did her summer
way.
solstice. We just did winter solstice with Harwan Joe here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You are so lucky.
Mhm.
What a gift that was.
Well, this is my point.
Yeah.
It was literally almost walking distance
Wow.
from my house. So I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And
Incredible.
it was so awkward. I would go in there. Everybody's wearing. I'm from Chicago. Everybody's
Yeah.
wearing white. They're chanting. They're doing. You
Yeah.
know, and I look at my sponsor and he goes, "Shut up. Just
Yeah.
keep doing it." And he hated it too.
God
but we
bless
knew.
him.
But afterwards, you don't.
Well, I started understanding the science.
Yeah.
Because that's what kept me. Was they would get up and do a 20-minute thing, and they would tell us the science.
Yes, that's
Like
why
this is doing
I
this
like
to the
them
gray
too.
matter of the brain. This is doing this to the optic nerve. This is doing this to the nervous system. And then they would, and I'm the Gemini. I'm like,
ditto.
I need that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What day?
I'm May 30th,
Yeah.
When are
June,
you?
June 6th.
June 6th.
You know, that's what kept me going, and I started reading, and then
Yeah.
they were doing teacher training. So I mean, this shit's hard, but it's
Yeah.
a whole different science.
Yeah.
And they talk about it different terms. And when I hear science now, you know, I'm like, oh, they're talking about quantum entanglement or
Yeah.
whatever, right? So the techniques in this yoga, I mean, it's a mixture. You know, it goes back to Egypt, the Tibetan Buddhism, the masters, and it was secret until the late '60s. And this guy Yogi Bhajan, who's getting a lot of backlash on stuff, but he mixed it with Sikh, he mixed it with a lot of stuff. This is his version of it. But overall, I mean, you don't follow teachers, you follow the teachings. So, but we're holding positions for 11 minutes and we're shaking.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, you're good. You're like, what just happened? Well, we're kicking in the second nervous system. We never do that. So I was like, oh, you're cleansing the subconscious mind. Oh, this and this and then
And the
I went,
blood and the digestive
and
system.
the gray matter of the
and
brain.
Like layers of us we
Right.
don't even know and we
Right.
can't even see.
Right.
And then it's such a great teacher of consistency.
Yep.
So if you can get
Discipline.
consistency down with your exercise or your yoga or your breath work or your meditation or your food, then it can filter into other areas of your life.
Well, I mean, we have the inside drugstore. Like the body, the brain and body, your gut, everything is full of drugstore. We create so many healing chemicals. We create, like benzodiazepine. That's Xanax, right? We create it. We create it through breath work and through stuff. It's in mother's breast milk, right? It's our natural. Well, they extracted it from the human brain and synthesized it, and they sell it back to us.
Yes.
Genius.
You
Yes.
know,
with side effects.
Well, yeah, but we can do it with breath work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can do so much with it.
Yeah.
I felt Kundalini energy only one time in my life, and I've never been able to achieve it again. I've never been able to. It went through my head and it went through my entire body, and at the Monroe Institute, that was
Yeah.
where I found it. When you talk about the cells and what's going on inside our body, that I have always been healthy, and you know that, Whitney.
Yeah.
I was able to connect on a cellular level, but more like on an atomic level, what was inside my body all at once. And so in that moment, I felt they all had their little personalities.
Oh,
So like the
interesting.
cells were
Well, they're
little
intelligent.
people. Yeah,
They're
and they
intelligent.
were like talking.
Yeah.
And communicating and
Sure, sure.
And it was this language that I understood
So
because
cool.
I was connected to it.
You are it.
We are it, but we're not we are
Right. Somebody didn't pay the bill.
right. So
Just or something cut off.
that connection, mind you, the feeling is orgasmic when you connect. So you're feeling an orgasm through your entire cellular complex. Your mitochondria are
Yeah.
like, I've tried to explain that to people, what that
Good luck.
feels like.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what I'm talking about except for the people who have felt that. the
Yeah.
Kundalini.
Yeah. And anyone that's had a spiritual experience in their body and out of their body.
Yeah, but
Well,
so
our audience is all about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm saying that I had to, listen. I was listening to binaural beats for like 8 days, right, to achieve that
Yeah.
state.
You primed your body.
Right, but to achieve that state just by meditation that people are able to do,
Yeah,
that's incredible.
yeah, but
That's incredible.
That's what these techniques are.
And
Correct.
and you're just priming your body
Yeah.
because when you start to study Kundalini or you pick up any Kundalini book, it'll tell you to really achieve the results to create that magnetism or to make that shift. It takes 90 days.
Well, you don't want to, because we're electrical beings, you want to be sure you have the right voltage because if you, we could burn out. So I only
Short
got the
circuit.
dose.
And Gemini's burnout can burn
know.
out the fastest. I've been told by a lot of
Yeah.
different teachers to slow my roll.
Oh, for sure.
Because
Slow your burn.
we can absorb too much information that will
We're storytellers.
light us out.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
That's what we are. And I'm a filmmaker, and here we are on a podcast.
Yeah.
So
Well,
how
at least
did
we
you,
heard that mission.
Yeah. How did you connect to plants? How did the frequency house start?
Well, we got a couple things going on. So, I did the Kundalini thing,
Okay.
right, which is big, and I didn't know what I didn't know, but when you're in that situation where you got nothing to lose, which
Yeah.
I think is good for everybody to go through at some
Yeah.
point because there's no plan B, and when you have no plan B, like you make shit happen,
Yeah.
right?
You burn the ship. Kind
You
of thing.
right.
Yes.
And everybody's got this safety net. But you don't. I would be dead if I had a safety net, right? So when you're drowning, I was lucky enough to just do anything. And I'm like that anyway as a Gemini. I'm like, I don't fucking, but I did have, but I always have been a risk taker. But now my life is on the line. I had no money. Nobody was hiring me. I couldn't even go back to Florida. I mean, it was like, I felt like, everybody hated me. Nobody was talking to me. And anyway, I started going to meetings, and the AA meetings here were a lot better. Some, and there's a lot of there's actors there, big CEOs, and I was meeting like really high level people that were struggling with the creative mind. I didn't realize, obviously, the creative mind struggles with this more. Right, that's why you see so much addiction and
So interesting.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, right. Because people
For
that are
sure.
willing to be in the box and follow the rules and follow the
no.
line, they're not getting
They're zombies.
attacked in the same way.
No, they're not attacked. They're unaware.
Yeah.
You don't know, like, does a fish know it's in the ocean, right?
Yeah.
You don't know, right? They're just like, oh, this is the way.
Yeah.
Right? So, in this Aquarian age, this is the revelation, right? And we can talk about that in a minute. But I didn't know, but all I knew is when I went to Kundalini, it was awkward. But I started realizing what is awkward. Awkward is fear, right? And so I would just do it anyway. And I realized when I did things I didn't like, when I did things that were awkward, I felt more powerful. So I know now what's going on. But then I was like, okay, so then I would do ecstatic dance on the beach, right? I'm a middle-aged white guy dancing around with a bunch of, hippie girl, and I'm like, I'm Lutheran, Chicago, this is the most awkward. I did it anyway. Because then I started going, they don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Why do I care if they care?
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, that's so dumb. So I just did it, and I did it. But then I saw the healing in that, right? Anyway, I was it was minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day of not drinking, right? Because there was, all the shit was right
And
there.
saying yes to other activities that were outside your comfort
Trying to
zone.
find them,
Yeah.
if I could afford them,
Yeah.
right? So in AA, I'd hear about some stuff, but it was mostly whatever. But in yoga, I started hearing about stuff. So I doubled down on that, and there was sound meditations and all this other activities. And then we went and we did some advanced stuff like white tantra, where you stare in somebody's eyes for 8 hours.
Oh,
You want
wow.
to trip?
I've never even heard of that, to be honest.
Well, they stopped doing it for a minute, but they started it back up. But anyway, I did some of those practices, went to Tibet, figured it out. But so that, keeps you alive, and then you're everything's changing, right? So I was doing that, and then I had one little camera left video camera. I had all the millions of dollars of gear, and I left this one little thing.
Yeah.
And I was volunteering shooting for people that need it. And I was shooting for this woman's philanthropy thing at she had battered children Christmas thing. And she goes, will you shoot my video? And I said, of course. So I'm over there. So I'm like, let's make a documentary of it. So I start shooting. The women that are running it had been battered, children, little girls. So I said, well, tell me your story, right? Tell me your story. So I had this one woman was telling me her story, and there's these little moments in life that either change, you go this way or that way.
I know.
And this is one of those. So, I'm interviewing her, and I wasn't, full-on filmmaker. I was just telling, she's telling her story, and something in me went, this is bullshit, what she's telling me. Well, it was with everybody. Most of the time they're telling you what they think you want to hear, not what the real story.
Yeah.
So, anyway, she gets up, and this is a nothing video, like it doesn't matter. Anyway, she's walking away, and I stopped her, and I said, you have more to tell me, don't you? And she paused. She thought about it, and she goes, I do. And I go, sit back down. So she sits back down, and she starts telling me the real story. It's all emotional, pulling up childhood, right? And then she tells me about ayahuasca. This is the moment that changed my life.
Yeah.
I was like, or
It's
the moment
amazing
I
that you
stopped
picked
her,
up on that.
right? I know that. I still
You
think
knew
about
that she had something for you. A
In that
message.
moment,
Yeah, you always know.
but you have to be aware.
And you have to then open your mouth.
And then
speak,
follow it.
Yeah.
not
yeah.
be afraid.
Yeah, totally.
And that's confidence. And obviously I didn't have much confidence because I drank. That's the real reason I was drinking. I was a scared little boy,
Yeah.
So you got to build all this back organically. It's going to the gym, build the nervous system back,
Yeah.
live in truth. You can't lie. You can't do these things. So you get confidence.
Yeah.
So I can be attacked.
Strengthen the machine.
But you have to be, if I get attacked, they can't really, take me down in a way because I'm not lying.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it
Truth
all
is
goes in
solid.
truth.
Yeah.
Well, I have to check myself, but make sure, am I full of shit here? Did I do this? And the mushrooms show me this all the time. But anyway, we'll get back to that. But that's how I heard about ayahuasca, and it was really underground back then. This is 11 years or 10 years ago, 2015, I guess. And I said, I've heard about that. What is it? And she goes, well, there's a ceremony Saturday night. I can get you in. And I was like, oh, okay. So I call my sponsor and I go, hey, there's this thing. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Nothing but the head, la, la, la. It's like, okay. And then I don't know if I told him I'm doing it anyway. Anyway, I just did it.
Yeah.
That's the bravery. This guy was, and I had the fear of losing him as a sponsor, which could mean I lose what I think is a lifeline. I'm still fragile.
Yeah.
But I went, and there was no intake. There was nobody. They're like, show up, bring your sleeping bag.
Yeah, they didn't have you prime your body
This
or
one,
anything.
nope. Well, they did give me a diet.
Okay.
Yeah, they
At
were
least you
like,
had
don't
that.
do this.
Yeah.
And I went, I think I knew one person, the girl that invited me. And anyway, just show up. It's on a concrete floor at a yoga studio on Lincoln Boulevard. It's like, I didn't know anything. And the guy doing it was one of the most interesting men in the world, but he wasn't a shaman. He was a chemist. And he's telling me, and he's talking in this broken English. I have no idea what he's fucking talking about. Like, I don't know anything, right? I'm just like, I'll do, like, drink the Kool-Aid, you know, like Jim Jones shit, right? And so, I drink a thing, and poof, man, like, I felt the most joy, I think to this day, that I've ever felt in my life. Because it shattered all the illusions, which was everything. Like, it's everything. And there was such joy in that going, you guys are full. No, this is the universe. And you guys are like, you have no concept of the beauty and the vastness and the mystery. And you start seeing how everything talks, and the trees and the oceans. And took my head off. Fear gone, And then
That's incredible.
How did you integrate that back into your life?
I did
in
more.
The days after.
I did more. There was these. They didn't do integration back then. I mean, this particular, group. So actually, we did. It was interesting. He made us do ayahuasca at night, which is feminine, the mother they call it, and then at daybreak we did mescaline or San Pedro mescaline, masculine. He insisted. Otherwise, he said you're out of balance.
Yeah.
So you got this agenda of what to do with your life, and you already know it. That's the thing. It's in there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
in
yeah.
you, and it gets to it, and you go, ha, and it makes you go, yep, I know, yep, I know, and they're like, get rid of this, get out of this relationship. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know you're not
That's
staying.
great.
You're wasting time. Fuck you, dude. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop doing it. And then it just calls you out on all your bullshit, like all of it. Like stop lying. That's it. And it took me many. I don't know if it took me. I just kept going and doing them. Well, so anyway, the mother gives you like an agenda of what to do. Then the San Pedro tells you how to do it.
Cool.
It's like fucking take action.
Yeah.
This is why people sometimes think I'm maybe a little harsh, but I'm like, how many summers do you have left? How many?
Yes.
Every day you're not doing this is every day you're going backwards.
Yeah.
The world's moving forward.
Yeah.
If you're standing still going, oh, I need more. Okay. You actually slid backwards because the world went this way. And you're not, right?
Yeah.
So you're sliding.
Yeah.
So you gotta, it's up to you, but I mean, I almost died. So every day is valuable. So don't waste time doing it. But anyway, so that was my first experience with that. And then I just started doubling down on that. And I didn't know. So I would just I got into the community a little bit. And, there's a ceremony at Brian's house in wherever, in the basement, And
Who's Brian?
I don't know,
That's
just making up
Ash.
names. No, I did like 30 of them. So I just kept going.
There's an inside joke with us. Everyone I meet is named Brian.
Oh,
Like it doesn't matter
Me,
if
it's Dave.
If it's the butcher,
Me, it's Dave.
doesn't matter.
Of course
If
he
it's
brings up
someone at Caliber Collision.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about it when we were driving up. I was like, I'm having this thing where everywhere I go in my life, everyone's named Brian. And
So I'm like, who's Brian now?
and so
that's weird that I picked that name. I usually say
Yeah.
Dave. I do.
because you're around me, so it has to be Brian.
Yeah, maybe it's a weird way of spelling brain. We use invert two letters.
Maybe it would work better.
If your camera guy was named Brian, we would be like, oh my God.
Yeah.